Liberal women are America's unhappiest, study finds. Now, how many recent studies have I been going over and recent polls I've been going over to show that leftists, that liberals are not very happy people? The same people that call themselves tolerant and stuff are some of the most evil I find. Some of the most uh, people that have mental health issues. I see it in my own practice, a lot of depression and stuff like that. Because of their views, because of the stuff that they're trying to push on other people, it makes them very, very unhappy. It's wild. Again, anecdotally, I see it in my own practice, but we're going to talk a little bit about it. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from Slay News, and they report that progressive politics may promise empowerment, but for many liberal women, the result appears to be rising misery and isolation. A growing body of data points to a clear trend. Liberal women are statistically the most dissatisfied and mentally unwell demographic in the country, and experts say it may have more to do with worldview than circumstance. And to that, I'm saying yes. Again, I see it myself in my practice. They are some of the most unhappy people I've ever met. And it's always because of their beliefs. It's always because of their politics. Their leftist politics makes them unhappy. It's so crazy to me. I've never seen anything like that in with other demographics and other political beliefs or religious beliefs. It's crazy. But according to a 2024 survey from the Institute for Family Studies, IFS, just 12% of liberal women age 18 to 40 report being completely satisfied with their lives. Wow, only 12%. In contrast, 37% of conservative women in the same age group report full satisfaction, a difference that speaks volumes. The findings come from the 2024 American Family Survey, which also shows that liberal women are 2 to 3 times more likely to say they are not satisfied with their lives. Marriage and faith. Again, remember I talked about the whole religious aspect of it. These atheists and stuff are not very happy people, or agnostics don't seem to be very happy either. In my, again, anecdotal evidence from my own practice. But marriage and faith, two traditional anchors of community and stability, may play a key role in satisfaction divide. 56% of conservative women in the study are married, while only 37% of liberal women are. Church attendance reflects a similar gap. And I've done, and when I was in undergrad, tons of studies that shows this as well. Years ago, when I was doing some research into this, I saw this as well. But 53% of conservative women attend religious services weekly, compared to just 12% of liberal women. That detachment from rational and spiritual communities may be fueling widespread loneliness. Nearly 30% of liberal women report frequent loneliness, while only 11% of conservatives say the same. Quote, "These women are lacking key support systems that help weather life's inevitable challenges," said Brad Wilcox, a senior fellow at IFS. "We've seen in the research that conservative women tend to be more likely to embrace a sense of agency and to have the sense that they are not in any way the victim of larger structural realities or forces." See, playing the victim leads to depression. That victim mentality that leftists push is harming them mentally. Quote, "They're also less likely to catastrophize about public events and concerns, and more likely to think of themselves as captains of their own fate." This isn't a new development. A 2020 Pew Research study found that 56% of young liberal white women had been diagnosed with a mental health condition, compared to fewer than 30% of moderate or conservative women. Cognitive psychologist Jonathan Haidt traced the issue to a culture of catastrophizing, a mental health habit of exaggerating negative outcomes, often amplified by social media and activist narratives. And this is something I teach as well to my clients when it comes to their mental health, is to stop catastrophizing things. Once you equate words with guns, you're closer to hell than salvation, Haidt warned. Yeah, think about it. Remember, they used to tell us sticks and stones may hurt our bones, but words will never hurt you. But now they're saying words are violence. This is what the left is pushing. Words is just as harmful, they claim, which is ridiculous on the face of it. And this is why they suffer with so many mental health problems. Journalist Mac Iglesias also noted the link between heavy social media use and negative cognitive patterns that mimic clinical depression. He said, quote, mentally processing ambiguous events with a negative spin mirrors depression, he explains. That tendency towards pessimism has implications for electoral politics as well. Political analyst Nate Silver argued that the Democratic Party's messaging, shaped by its increasingly anxious, predominantly female base, may be turning off male voters. And that's exactly what it is. He said, quote, I think an underrated factor in the how can Democrats win back young men debate is the effects of personality, which differ especially among younger voters, Silver noted. A cultural rejection of traditional roles may also be contributing to the crisis. A 2024 analysis by EV Magazine argued that dismissing marriage and motherhood as oppressive leaves many progressive women isolated from relationships that offer meaning, support, and long-term joy. I mean, think about it. They're saying having kids is oppressive. Being married is oppressive. This is ridiculous. Haidt has argued that modern feminism's emphasis on systematic oppression may backfire, trapping women in a circle of resentment and helplessness. And it already has. It already has. Again, I see it in my practice. But, quote, feminism focused on systematic oppression can backfire, he said. It may create a generation trapped in a cycle of entitlement and empathy deficits. And I say victim mentality. I would add victim mentality as well. The broader shift among Gen Z towards an external locus of control. The belief that one's life is controlled by outside forces has also been tied to rising anxiety and depression. Like a lot of my people that suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, you know, not really a psychological disorder, but should be one. But a lot of my clients that I notice that suffer from that, I try to tell them, like, look, try to focus on things that you could control. You can't control, you can vote, but Trump is in office, so you can't really control anything that has to do with that. So start focusing on things that you can control instead of these outside things that you have no control over, because it's going to make your situation worse. You're going to ruminate, you're going to dwell on it, and it's going to make your depression worse. That's something that I teach to my clients. What happened? Where did I leave off at? Okay. This has especially been the case since the explosion of social media in the early 2010s. Progressive campus policies may only worsen the trend. Greg Lukianoff, co-author with Haidt of The Coddling of the American Mind, has warned that safe spaces, trigger warnings, and ideological echo chambers acts as, quote, reverse cognitive behavioral therapy, validating fear and fragility instead of fostering strength and resilience. And I would agree. That's why I don't do trigger warnings. I tell my client, we're going to get into some stuff. It may cause some triggers, but I'm not going to warn you for it, because every time you're triggered, that can be a teaching moment. You can learn from that. Learning your triggers, not to avoid them, but knowing your triggers to learn how to deal with them. For liberal women, the data suggests that politics may be part of the problem, not the solution. And I definitely agree with all of that. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave y'all comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.